Okay, so whatever we are doing so far, nothing is object oriented as of now. So we will start the principles of object oriented programming next week. This week we are only looking at the basic Java syntax. So before we start, I would like to give you a few instructions for today's lab. I might be a little bit late. I'm hosting a tutorial session, so as soon as I find time, I'll come. I'll definitely come to resolve your queries. So the instructions are, there are a few programs in this lab that you need to do. Now there are two elements to the lab. So the first one is pair programming. Do you know what that is? So in pair programming, what you can do is two students can share one system, right? And you can code it together by taking turns. So as an example, let's say one of you is doing the first program. So the one of you codes and the other gives ideas. Other can explore, give ideas, ask your friend to maybe try a few other commands, so on and so forth. So first program, first person codes, and after that you reverse the roles. So for second program, the control of the system goes to the other person's hand, and the one who was coding before is the one who gives instructions now. Right? So that way you can code. So that's one element. Second is to pair up with the person who is having similar coding skills as yours. So this lab, it has three tracks, as you can see. So there are 5 problems in every track. So one is easy, one is medium, and one is hard. There are some more prerequisites to solving these problems, which we'll discuss right now. So take a look at this and you can choose any track of your choice. But the two people who are pair programming together, you should obviously pick the same track. So that's one point. Another is I also want to see how many students have chosen which track. So I'm right now sharing a poll here. I don't want you to take this poll right now. This is to be done during the lab session. So during the lab session, take a look at the problems, and before starting to solve the problems, you poll for your track there. So I'm doing this here. Okay. So anyone who takes this poll right now is probably not listening to what I'm saying or is not here in this classroom. Okay. So don't take it right away. This is to be done during the lab session. Right. Point number 3, do not come to the lab without a fresh notebook. So I'm again repeating it. You are supposed to write all the programs in a notebook. So please come with a notebook. After you are done solving the problems, you write them down in the notebook, which I'll probably take from you maybe at the end of today's lab session or sometimes later. So you see, so I've already, people have started polling that how much the students listen to their instructors. Okay. Okay. So we'll see 3 more things in Java today. I'm audible, right? At the end, I'm audible. So we'll look at 3 more things today. One is writing functions. Can you call him Black Specs? Please get out. Get out. I don't want you in my class. I won't start until you leave this class. It's up to you now. Who else who wants to leave? We are going to look at 3 things today. One is writing functions in Java. Second is working with arrays. And third is taking input. So again, there is going to be some syntax that's going to be new to you. So I'll tell you what is to be treated as placeholders. So there are certain things which depends on the concept of classes and objects, which will take. I'm going back to the same folder that we created yesterday. Opening it in terminal, and let's say for what we are going to do today, I want a new folder. So inside this folder, I'm making one more folder. Let's name it as, let's say 22 August. Right. So you'll see that this folder is created. Now you can move inside to this folder with your cd command. So basically you are now inside this folder. So this is the place where I'll be writing the codes. Create a new file. Let me call it sum.java. We'll see how we can sum two integers. We'll see how we can bring it to the form of a function. Anybody who disturbs me, I'll send you out without any warning. I'm going to create a class here. So let's call it add, or you can call it sum, whatever you want. As usual, main function. So we need, let's say we are summing up integers. So let's take two integers, int a, int b. How do I print their sum? New variable, int c, and you can say it is a plus b. How you do it in C, and you want to print this. So you can say system.out.println. So let me write it this way, sum of, right? This will come as it is, sum of a, and so this sum of will come as it is, a's value will be printed, and will come as it is, concatenated, and b is C. Right, that's all. So everything is hard coded as of now. I'm not taking any input. We have simply taken two integers, adding them and printing their result. ls is going to show me what is there in the current directory. So it always helps. I don't have to go to GUI and every time see what is there. So you do an ls and it will tell you what is there. Let's compile this. Create class file. So if you do ls again, it shows you two files, sum.java. Right, you run this, so it shows you sum of 10 and 20 is 30. Okay. Now make a change here. Assume that we want to write a function to add these two numbers. We don't want to add it directly. So instead of this, I'm going to write here, let's say add a comma b, where add a comma b is a function that we need to define. Right? So we have to see where do we define a function. So the function definition it's the same. It's exactly the same how you do it in C, except for a small keyword that I'll tell you. Other than that, it's all the same. The point is, where are you going to place this function? So you have to place this function in the same class. From where your code will start executing, we are going to write one more function here, which comes here. Right? How do we write a function? How will a function for add a comma b look like in C language? How should I start with it? What's the signature of a function? What is the syntax prototype for it? Int. So what is this int here? The return type of your function, right? The value that it will return, type of that, followed by function name inside the parameters, right? So should I write int a, int b, or can I write int x, int y? Int x, int y, right? We can write. It's going to be called by value. So your values for a and b will be copied to your values for x and y. Right? And then you can directly write a return statement, or if you want to do it the lengthier way, you can say, let's say int z equals to x plus y. and return z. Or you can directly do return x plus y. So exactly like C. Now there is one small change for now. Again, we'll see what it means in the upcoming lectures. Any function that you are declaring over here, just put a keyword static before that. Otherwise, it will show you an error. We'll soon see what static means. So any function you write right now, make it static. That's the only difference. So that's all. Let's try to run this again. So you get the same output. Okay, any questions about this? Do you want me to show you some other function from C language, something that you remember and you want? Otherwise, I'll proceed further. So this is a simple function. You can simply write a factorial function or anything for whatever you have written functions in C. How do? Java C is a command. Is it not working? Like Java C, it is used to compile your Java file. It's not working for Mac. For Windows? I also have a Windows. Maybe after the class, I'll look it up. Right? There might be some other problem. Okay. Any other function you would like me to write? Or shall we proceed? Okay. Then let's proceed. So next is, let's say we want to take A and B as input, right? And we don't want to hard code their values. So in C, how do you take input? With your scanf command, right? That's a now little bit tricky in Java. So you need to include two statements to take input. So first, to take input, you need to import something you call a library in Python. So you call them packages in C. So you need a package. So put a line here. Import java.util.scanner. Again, this scanner class, will look at it in detail when we are done with the basic concepts of object orientedness. So you need to import this scanner. Once you are done with this, you need two more lines now. So one is you create an instance of scanner with the command, let's say scanner s. So instance, it is very much like your variables. So as an example, you say int a. So integer is a data type and a is a variable of type integer. It is something similar, concept of classes and objects that we'll soon see. For now, you can see it like scanner is sort of a data type and you are creating a variable of that type. So this as here is, it can be anything. It can even be your name. It is just a variable. It can be XYZ, scan, scanner, anything. So I'm going to take it as right now equals to new scanner. So again, this new keyword we'll soon see. It is used for dynamic memory allocation in Java. Again, so we are keeping this line for later. System.in. So these two lines for now, you should just keep them as it is. It will uncode their meaning as we go further. So you import scanner and you create an instance of this scanner. Now you can use this S here to read your inputs. How? So instead of A being 10, you want to read it as an input. So you write here. So before this, let me place a line. Let me just print a message. Let's say enter the first integer. Right. And then you write s dot next int. So it takes an integer as an input and it will place it in A. You want to read one more input, you can use the same instance S. Again, repeat the same thing. So this time it's going to be the second integer. And again, S dot next int, right? For reading next integer. That's all. Rest of your code remains the same. Right. So let's just check. Semicolons missed some. So enter the first integer, let's say 12, enter the second integer, let's say 88. So that's how you can give integers as an input. Now let's say you don't want an integer as an input, you want a float value as an input or a double value as an input. So that change to make that is pretty easy. So what you do is, let's say it's not an integer, but it is some real number. Let's say first number. And let's say instead of int, you want a to be float. So all you have to do is simply replace this int with a float. So instead of next int, you write a next float here. If you want to take a double as an input, so you write double over here. Ensure that the first letter here is in capital. If you want to take a string as an input, so for string, the syntax is next line. Right? So right now we are doing it for float. So this C, it's also going to be a floating point number, add AB. And similarly, the signature of this function will change. Everything becomes float now. Right, that's all. So let's say first number is 1.2, second number is 2.3. Right. So that's how you can give float as an input. Let me show you one example with string also. So let's ask the first name at the last name and print a welcome message to the user. So let's say what is your first name. Now in this case, this is going to be a string. So I'm going to write a string here. And if you want, you can change the variable name as first name or something. And this now changes to line. Right? So if you use next line, whatever string you will enter, that will be your input. Last name. Line. And instead of adding two numbers, let's say we want to print a welcome message in the form of a function. So let's call a function here, welcome. And inside this function, you can pass first name and last name. So your function definition now changes. It return type becomes void. Function name is welcome. And you have a string, let's say F for first name and string L for the last name. So we can write here system dot plus first name. You might want to give a space between the first name and the last name. So this is for that. It's last. F and F and F and F. I should have changed the file name. Just a second. That happens when you work in Python a lot. See, there's some problem. There is some problem. Mm. Okay, so what happens sometimes is you might also have seen it in C when you try to read multiple characters together, right? What happens is it also starts treating backslash n as a character which gets stored in your buffer. Has anyone faced that problem while reading characters in C? So the idea is when you hit an input, when you're entering an input and you press and enter, it goes to your keyboard buffer. And next time when your system is trying to take an input, it reads up that backslash n. So what you can do is before taking any string as an input, call this command s.next. So what s.next will do, whatever is there in your buffer, it will just consume that. So it will resolve that problem. So this is done. Any questions so far? Okay. Next, let's quickly see how do we work with arrays. Or would you like to try a few problems? Or you can do that during the lab. Any preferences? Lab? Okay. Let me create a new file instead of overwriting this. So let's say a class for dealing with arrays. Or let me call it array for now. So this is the basic framework. Okay. So the simple command to define an array is, so this is how you do it in C, right? So this creates an array which can hold 100 integers. In Java, it is slightly different. So you use this notation. That's how you write it. So again, this is because arrays are treated as classes in Java, again, which we'll see that later. So for now, you can take note of this syntax. So this is going to create an integer array of size 100. Right? Similarly, you can create a float array by replacing int with float or a character array or a string array, whatever you want. Okay, so instead of creating an array like this, what do we do? Let's first ask the user how many integers do they want in the array. Right. So let's say n is the number for that. And again, you need to take the input from the user. So you need the scanner class. So it is advisable that whenever you write the Java programs, you type each and every letter on your own. If you simply copy paste it, you are going to forget it. Right. So the more you practice it, writing the code from scratch, more you will remember it. Let's say how many elements do you want in the array? Right. And then you can do n equals to s dot extend. Right. And now what should I change in this line? So we don't want 100 elements, we want n elements. Let's say enter the elements one by one. Right. Now we need a loop here to read. Correct? Sorry. Can you do that from here? Fine now? Okay. Correct, or should I change something here? Should I change something here? Or all well? All well? Raise your hands if all is well. Come again. So I'm going to use this loop to read the elements one by one. So I'm going to write here something like ARR I equals to S dot next in. I'm reading the elements here. Come on, any problem with this code? If you don't figure that out, that's really going to leave a bad impression, guys. You should know this. What is wrong? You've studied arrays, right? I'll give you your time. Tell me what is wrong here. That should be less than n. Why?
మీరు కాల్ చేస్తున్న నంబర్ మా నెట్వర్క్ పరిధిలో లేదు.
Less than equals to n plus 1 and minus 1, right? So either you write I less than equals to n minus 1 or less than n. If you don't understand what just happened, you should go back and revise your C basics. Pull out your data structures notebook and start reading that. At least till arrays. I'm not going to repeat the things that you have already done. Not in the class. You can come and discuss them with me later. Okay, and then let's just print this array out. So the same loop. Instead of reading input, you just want to print it. Okay, that's all. Arrays.java. So we got arrays, array.class. Let's say 5. So you can give new line separated or space separated your integers. So we'll take a small break here. Let me know if you have any questions so far. Currently, so you have this there is no partition. BS4 is the next one, and you can write your particular. Once you have written out correct Java, not even exceptions, just you get to some Java code and your funny extension is using. Then you have some idea to get starting from. So base Java three needs an argument. We can that's the secret and it is almost for Java C. This quality is for Java zero. Right now, this camera has landing. You should create a Java. Yeah, the create a that used. And it was The change will be this is started. Set a system since you are going to that the change will be now. Filling the 3 days. The one last thing I wanted to show you is how do you pass an array into a function? And that's where we'll close. So our basic Java syntax completes with all of this. From next week, we'll start looking at the fundamentals of object-oriented programming. Those things will be new to you. So ensure that by this week, I'm also going to give you an assignment. You make yourself comfortable with this basic syntax. So let's say we want to write a function to sum all the elements in this array. I'm going to call a function sum. I'm going to pass this array here and I'm going to pass the number of elements. So this is the function. If you want, you can, let's say, collect the value in a variable called s, and then you can write system.out.println. The sum of elements is s, right? Now we need to write this function sum arr comma n. So again, declare it static, and then it's going to return an integer value. Name of the function is sum. So I'm passing ARR again, whatever is the reference to ARR, that will be passed to X. If you want, you can keep it ARR also, but I want to keep it X. And let's say size, right? This is the size or length of the array, or let's say int L. Right, that's all. And now you can write here how to add. So int, let's say s equals to 0. For int I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus s equals to s plus, so 5. Right? And then you return this. And I think that should wait. Yes, our size is L here and not N. So let's call it as a. Are we defining s twice? Okay, as we have used for scanner object here also, right? So we cannot use s again. You cannot use the same variable name twice. Which class was this? What's the name of this class? Array. So you can just take a look at this. So this completes your basic Java syntax. There are some more commands which you can use to handle strings. So they are given in your today's lab document. So just take a look at that. If you are having any problem in installing Java or setting the path variables, etc., you can bring your laptop to today's lab and we'll resolve that. Okay, so I'll stop sharing now because I need to take attendance. So one thing is we have received the instructions that we are going to show you the QR code only once. Right, so ensure that you are able to scan it in the first go. Why is it not coming? So this is for AI first. ECM is not here. Okay, so we only have AI and CB. And today's lab is for ECM and AI. AI had lab on. Okay, it's very confusing. Okay, I'll just stop. ECM is not coming here, right? It's merged here. Okay, it is merged. All right. Done. Okay, for CB now. Okay, your branch is CB. Yes. CB 006.
I attended some course in AI 1 month before.
Can I come and talk with my notebook today at least? I can come to lab, but
Just a second. AI, what's your roll number? By when do we have to make the teams? Preferably by next week. Before next week's classes, if you do it that by Tuesday.
मेरी बुक में सभी नहीं किया ना मैं अभी कर सकते
Can you do it during the lab time?
Yeah, no,
The time that I have. Not 2:30. It is from 3:30 to 5 in IT block, ground floor. Welcome.